My whole life changed when I got accepted at a university in the city on a half scholarship to study law. I was so excited, but the problem was there was no way for my parents to be able to afford to help me, but I wasn't going to make my dreams end before it began. My teacher congratulated me and told me she knew I could achieve so much more. That felt good. I mean, I already knew that I could achieve more, but to hear it from my teacher, someone whom I've looked up to, gave me extra motivation. All those kids with their rich parents wouldn't have to worry about whether their tuition would be paid for or not. After all, they got all the resources to achieve whatever they want, which most of them take for granted. But me, I don't have that luxury. What I have is determination to work hard to get the money to achieve it. I wasn't about to let this chance slip away. I knew I'd need money and lots of it to make it happen. So I sacrificed my summer holidays, moved to the city, went out and got myself 5 part-time jobs. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? I was living in the city. It was difficult at first, but eventually I settled in. If you really want something badly, you've got to be prepared to make sacrifices. Like I said, I had many jobs. I was a street sweeper from 3 AM to 6 AM, and I was also a newspaper distributor. I decided to incorporate my paper run with the street sweeping. So whilst I swept, I was dropping newspapers at the same time. Then from 8 to 12 PM, I worked at McDonald's drive-thru. At 2 to 4 PM, I walked some dogs for some rich folks. This was the highest paying one, and those dogs were living in style. Even their beds were bling. Just imagine the cost of the dog's furniture. It could pay off my uni fees. The only problem is, I'm scared of dogs, but I did it anyway. Like I said, sacrifice. My 5th job was to clean offices in the evening from 5 to 8. By the end of the day, I was shattered. That was my routine for the rest of the summer. Even the money I received from those jobs wasn't enough, but that was about to change. One night after my cleaning job, I bumped into one of my old school friends. He was driving a top of the range car. After talking about our school days and his dream of owning a restaurant, he told me how easy it was to acquire a lot of money in his line of work and boasted about how much money he made daily. Bro, which was 10 times more than what I was making from my 5 part-time jobs put together. I can get you in, he said. I'm not gonna lie. I knew he was doing wrong, but I ignored all the dangers and the risks, including how it might ruin my life and also others' lives. I had a thought telling me, this is your big chance to pay off your school fees, bro. I can hear my parents' voices in the back of my mind telling me not to even think about it. You're making a big mistake. In my mind, I was trying to talk myself into it. I told myself, I'll do this until it pays off on my school fees. Besides, having 5 part-time jobs was taking a toll on me. If things went well, I could easily pay off my school fees. So I decided to take the risk, a selfish decision which I regret making. That very same evening, he took me to a house in the city. This is where the operations took place. Upon arriving, we went to the basement. I've never seen so much illegal substances, guns and money in my life before. Also, I witnessed the beating of a young boy, maybe in his early teens. I heard he ran off and left his package to save himself from being caught with it by the police. I mean, they beat him badly, but there was nothing I could do. He was bleeding from the head and nose. They really did a good job on him. Seems like their concern was the goods and the money. After seeing what happened to that dude, that alone made me want to change my mind. But can I back out now? This isn't the sort of business where you want to change your mind. No turning back, at least not alive. I've seen and I know too much. What have I got myself into? Suddenly, I heard a loud banging at the door and someone shouting, "Police! Police!" Everyone in the house scattered. No lie, I felt like I was about to shit myself. While all that was happening, I was in the basement looking for a way out. I managed to grab a rucksack with the hope that what's inside of it had some value, and I climbed through the window. I found myself on the street. I started walking calmly. I wasn't familiar with the area, so I walked straight into the midst of all the police. I wasn't sure what was in the bag, and I started thinking, I should have left it. Whatever's in this bag, I'm gonna get done for it. It's like jumping out the frying pan and drop straight into the fire. With some quick thinking, I asked to speak to the man in the suit, as if I knew him. I figured he was the captain or something. When he came over, I said, "Hello, monsieur." I told him I was a tourist and I was lost. I asked him to point me in the direction of the metro station. I could hear gunfire and shouting from inside the house. He called one of the officers and asked, "Why is this guy here?" Point him in the direction of the train station. I thanked him and I went on my merry way. As soon as I got home, I opened a backpack and I couldn't believe my eyes. It was full of money, 90k to be exact, more than enough to pay my university fee. I could easily give up my jobs, but I thought the right thing to do is to keep them to avoid suspicion. The next morning, it was all over the news. Bro, I had sleepless nights, wondering if the police or the gangsters were gonna come for me. I was living in fear, and I didn't contact my friend. A few months later, I saw my friend on the news. He was sentenced to 9 years in prison for dealing, and some of the others got 15 to 25 years for multiple charges for gun, murder and other offences. Apparently, they was being watched for many years. I felt bad for my friend. He was gonna waste part of his life in prison. Was it worth it? I can't even visit him in prison, just in case he decides to tell them that I was there that night. No telling what will happen to him in prison. I hope he holds onto the soap tightly. I joke, I'm just kidding, yo. During the 9 years whilst my friend was incarcerated, I managed to achieve my master's degree in law and a job with a top law firm. I also started a family. After he got out of prison, he was finding it hard to obtain a job or even a loan to open up a restaurant. That was his dream. It's like society was unwilling to give him a second chance to live. I could see him going back down the same road, so as a true friend, I loaned him the 30k to open up his restaurant. I kept thinking, he's gonna ask me where this money came from. That's how paranoid I was. I often thought back to that night and wondered what my life would have been like if I got caught. I was glad that experience ended before it began. I used part of the 90k for my university fees and some for my bills and other things. Even though I didn't take part in the distribution or any of the wickedness that they got up to, I felt guilty for all the innocent victims involved. I felt lucky it worked out in the way that it did. A part of me also felt regret for entertaining the idea of getting involved in criminal activity. Can you relate to anything in the story? Do you think I should have visited my friend? Should I have taken the bag? Let me know in the comments. By liking this video and subscribing to this channel helps the channel to grow.